This is another update to the matter of Johnson et al. Versus the United States et al. Now, everyone should be familiar with the NSA spying program implemented by the United States government. United States District Judge Richard Leon in Clayman versus Obama NSA in 2013, the district judge ruled that the NSA activities violated the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution. Now, once he entered that ruling, the Constitution says that full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings, either carried out in the several states or in the federal court. One would think that since the crimes were being committed in the state of Missouri, that the state courts would adhere to the district judge ruling in Clayman versus Obama. But in the matter filed in the state circuit court, we get a return order from Assistant Presiding Chief Judge Colleen Dolan dismissing the case, even though the defendant in the case admitted that he was violating not only federal law, but state law. Take into account that when you leave from the state court, here you have an institution such as the state of Missouri. Under the Clayman decision, every public official in the state of Missouri who has knowledge of that ruling and knowledge of the criminal conduct being conducted within the borders of the state of Missouri, which includes Governor Jeremiah W. Nixon, State Attorney General Chris Koster, Supreme Court Justice Murray Russell, and the Missouri General Assembly and the committees. You would think that the state of New Jersey knows how to address corruption. You would think the state of Missouri should know how to address corruption when it involves public officials. Maybe that's the reason why the state of Missouri couldn't make up its mind on what side it wanted to be on during the Civil War. Now, when it comes to the refiling in the federal court, one of the defendants in the case, who just happens to be the Chief Judge, Catherine D. Perry, she assigns the refiling to a judge who's also a defendant in the case. Once we filed a motion for the recusal of U.S. District Judge Audrey G. Fleissig, the Chief Judge responded in an administrative order dated this 9th day of April 2014, acknowledging that she already knew that Judge Fleissig was a defendant, and she based that on her grounds as to assigning a new judge, who happens to have been United States District Judge Stephen N. Limbaugh Jr. Keeping in mind now, he has to give full faith and credit to the Clayman versus Obama decision as a federal judge. But he implements an order one day after it was assigned to him on the 10th. He once again dismissed the matter as frivolous. Now, I'm going to make this real short. What we have here in America is that the drafters of the Constitution knew that the biggest threat to the republic and democracy wouldn't be politicians. They knew that it would have to be the judges. That's why in Article 3 of the United States Constitution, a judge retains his job strictly based upon good behavior. He doesn't have to commit a crime. But in this instance, every federal judge that has presided over this matter has basically, according to the Constitution, committed a crime. The issue of rights in the federal courts is one that can be best summed up in the Supreme Court case of Citizen United, where the Supreme Court stated that this $5 bill here has a First Amendment right to speak once it's pulled out of somebody else's wallet. I'm now going to give this $5 bill with one of the best presidents who ever served this country, Abraham Lincoln, being depicted on it. I'm now going to let Abraham Lincoln have something to say at this point. Well, it seems that Lincoln doesn't have anything to say, so therefore, I'm going to turn the matter over to Jeffrey.
Yes, I'd just like to add that this case is a prime example of corruption breeding from the top to the bottom. My example that I'd like to give you is the first black president of the United States, Barack Obama, stood on nationwide TV and acknowledged admiration for previous presidents and civil rights leaders, who he said was responsible for doors opening for him to even become the first black president of the United States. But it is shameful to say that the same opportunity that he acknowledged were made by previous presidents and civil rights leaders, that he took that opportunity and in the courthouse today is fighting against civil rights, human rights, and criminal violations against a black family. He stands on nationwide TV and he says he has this strong commitment for um, women's equal right pay, but at the same time in the courthouse fighting against a black woman's rights that she already supposedly have in this country. It's true saying what the Lord says, that you reap what you sow. And saying that, now that same black president and that same black attorney general, Eric H. Holder, is now crying foul that they're being mistreated and they're being talked to by any kind of way simply because they're black. Now, isn't that one for the books? I'm going to turn it over to David. But before I do, we also want to state that we know the purpose. We know your motive for St. Louis University Hospital killing our mother and stealing her brain for scientific reasons. Our brother worked at the university and was heading the investigation. So we know your motive. Thank you. Here's our brother David.
I'm one of the investigators for the Johnson family. First, I'm going to give a message to Judge Limbaugh Jr. The Johnson family, Joseph Johnson in particular, understands why the paper you sent him didn't include a signature page. So just get in line with the rest of the crooked federal and state judges that need to be removed from their office. Now, Senator Rand Paul is on the right track, acknowledging that the 43rd president, Vice President Cheney, was no more than a war profiteer when he sent our soldiers over to Iraq under false pretenses under President Bush's guidance. Rand Paul's message for 2016 presidential race, he's on the right track when he said, I think the name of the party should be entitled the Party of Justice. Well, Senator Rand Paul, here's some advice for your message. It should be, this country should execute justice for all. This country is going to learn that everybody in this country is equal, not just all men, because by this case you can tell some of our leaders, officials, clerks, judges, they don't believe that the Johnson family are equal. Well, President Obama, Speaker of the House Boehner, you're going to learn that neither the Johnson family nor their readers give a nickel about the title, the aspiration, and the praise all of you like to give each other in Congress and in our government, because it's mute to the average citizen that knows the Constitution. For instance, the word con, C-O-N, in the beginning of Congress, simply means, defined these days, con the people out of their rights while you're receiving their tax dollars. The P-E-R, pre, in presidential, these words simply means, defined, pretend you care about the people for your political reasons while you drawing your paycheck from our taxes. As you can see by your SPINE program, the Johnson family are true patriots of this country. For we serve our country, our community, because we believe in the law and the Constitution. We will never give up this fight, and we'll fight to the end. While on one hand, the Lord rains down blessings on a country. But those blessings can turn into plagues when the country denies rights to its own citizens. People need to be taught to stop voting for familiarities when they go to the ballot box and start researching and finding out who really have their best interests at heart. Not because you know their name from previous elections, because you're finding that they don't really even care about your rights. Now, government, let me tell you what we know. We know that you hack our computers. We know that you spy on us. We know that you even have us under surveillance. But it don't make or shake us because we're fearless, because we walk in the shadow of the Lord. And you're going to learn that eventually. Now, I could go on and on and on, but I'm not. I think we've made our point. But what I am going to give you is a community service message. The other day, I ran across a talk show where one of the tweeters asked the host, why are people so upset about the ACA law, the Affordable Care Act? Well, the host responded by saying, well, I really don't know, but that's a good question. Well, let me tell you what your answer is. First, you have to do some research. The beginning of the destruction of the middle class and the hardship on the poor started with the first trade agreement called NAFTA. What that meant was that we would send the jobs overseas, we would put hardship and pressure on the middle class because there is no jobs for them, and then we would take SNAP, WIC, Head Start from the poor people, and that'll put everybody in a panic and everybody will become desperate. Well, here's a message for you because we know how to combat that. We simply don't make money contributions to political parties anymore. What we do is take the little $50, $60, $70 you ask for, and we buy more bologna, more peanut butter, more pork and beans, and we share it with our neighbors to try to take some of the pressure off of them until the Lord comes and makes all of this right again. Now, in closing, I'm going to tell you this. When the question was asked, the hatred of the ACA, it's because years ago there was a study done, and the study showed that Caucasians, whites, are dying at a rapid pace more than any other minority in this country. It scared them. And what happened was they looked back and thought about it. Well, all our children are getting on meth, they shooting heroin, and they're going to wake up one day, and the reality is that they are the minority. Just take a look at those that are on the TVs hollering, oh, save this country for our grandchildren, because they know that they have lost 2 or 3 generations. But what we do as Republicans, Democrats, and independents who saw the destruction of this country coming years ago have band together and decided that we're going to help take some of the hardship off of the people. So in closing, I'm simply going to tell you this. Look at them. They are 50, 60, 70, 80 years of age. Don't have long to go. Most of them don't have money like Cheney and buy a new heart. So they'd rather see this country destroyed. They'd rather see justice thrown under the rug because they feel that if they can't take it with them, they'll see it destroyed. But we're not going to let that happen. We're going to get our case heard. We're going to get justice. We're going to continue to fight for humanity, and especially those here in Missouri. You're going to stop straddling the line because your name will no more carry weight with us if you're not helping the people. Now, one of the things that you got to understand is this. We are teaching minority teenagers to pull their pants up, start being respectful. We help to feed their families so that they won't get out of here and commit burglaries, murder, robbery. We got better police officers on the street. They're now working smarter instead of harder. You can't stand on the corner and let the bus go by and then we see you and think that you're waiting on the bus. Don't work anymore. We're cleaning up our streets. We now have a program in Missouri where we're getting prostitutes, Johns off the street. So we're making some headway. But what good would it do us? It'll be frivolous if we don't get the right judges in office. Because if we do all of this to better this country, especially the state of Missouri, it's going to be mute if we still got crooked judges and clerks. This is for you. Don't sit back and let a judge tell you to do something wrong. They got a law out now for whistleblowers. He can't retaliate. There was a clerk that told me once that I knew this was wrong. I went to the judge personally and told him, Your Honor, this is wrong. And he insisted I do it his way. Well, I saw the remorsefulness in her voice and in her demeanor. And I simply told her, there's a better day coming. But I do remember your name for the subpoenas so that when we bring you and swear you in, that you'll be forced to tell the truth. But with you and some of the other ones I've talked to, I don't think it'll be necessary. So I just want you to know, especially Judge Limbaugh Jr., that toilet paper you sent us, it wasn't even worth the ink that you wasted. It had no seal, no signature, and you really thought you would send it to people like us and that we would take it and run with it and say, oh my God, we got to give up. Well, I tell you what, go to lunch, congregate with your buddies, and come up with a better plan because we're going to get you in court eventually. And I just want to say, may God bless you and may God bless this world, not this country, this world. Thank you.